Static cabling video tutorials by Trevor Petr, Terminating RJ45 Jacks to Cat 5e cables.
Hi, my name is Trevor. In this video, I'm going to show you how to terminate two different types of jacks to Cat 5e Ethernet cabling. So the first jack that I'm going to be terminating today will be the Keystone Jack style. It's very popular. So this is what would normally be in the package here. You got your jack, you got your cover, and you got a tie wrap for securing the cable to the jack. So very popular. And then the second jack that I'm going to be terminating today is a little bit more complex, and it's the Belden style where no tools are required. The Keystone would require a specialty tool, which is a 110 punch down tool. And this is a 110 punch down tool. This is actually a multi-style punch down tool. You got 110 that's currently mounted to the tip of the screwdriver, but then if you look at the back end, it's got a 66 style punch down, and that's for older IDC type contacts, and I usually just store it in the back here. Very rarely do I use that punch down. When you're looking at the 110 punch down, you'll notice that it doesn't look the same on both sides. This side's got a bit of more of a curve or an angle to it. That's the cut side. The straight side is the non-cut side, which is rather important when you're placing the tool onto the jack. So I'm going to put the Belden one off to the side, and I'm going to focus on the Keystone Jack. So first of all, this jack is the exact same one as the one in the bag. So I'm just going to be using the one that's already been taken out of the bag. Let's talk a little bit about cable prep. So right over here you see this ugly cable tie here that hasn't been cut off. So we always want to, first of all, I typically wouldn't be using cable ties, but they're really loose and they're not catching the cable at all. So for this purpose, it's working pretty good at securing the cable, so it looks a little clean. We don't want to leave our cable ties like that. Best practice would be put your linesman pliers on the cable tie, then twist until the actual plastic piece breaks off, and then there's no sharp edges. If you just cut like this, there's always going to be a sharp edge on the cable tie, which will ultimately slice your arm open. So that's the best way of taking off the end of a cable tie. Now what this represents here, just for everybody so that you know, this is going to represent an office, the outlet box for an office, and would have two jacks inside that outlet box. Very small pipe, but this would be the pipe that would be running up the wall. Okay, and then this would be represent the horizontal cabling that's going to be heading back to the data closet, and that would be installed up in the ceiling, and then ultimately it usually goes to some type of cable rack. So we're going to take a cable here, and we're going to terminate this to the jack. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our cable stripping tool, and you've seen this in one of the previous videos, and we are going to strip off 2 inches of cable. Be sure to not nick any wires. Do a quick little inspection, and then you can cut that nylon string right out. I'm just going to shove this back in the pipe so it's out of the way. That's going to be the cable I use for the Belden style. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to, I don't like to, when I'm terminating a jack, it's a little different than a connector. I don't like to straighten all of the conductors. What I'd rather do is I overlap the loop where it needs to be terminated. So I'm just going to get you to focus in on the jack itself. So we're going to punch the cable down A style. If you take a look at the photo, you're going to see different letters in the center of the jack, and you're going to see A, B, A, B. So what you need to do is you need to ignore the B style. The B style would be in conjunction with the 568B standard, but we're using in Canada the A standard is typical. So what that means when you're doing the A standard, you're seeing that the orange set and the green set we're using the green set. We're not using the orange set in this area. Okay, In this area here, we'd be using the orange set, not the green set. So effectively the difference between A and B is the flip-flopping of pairs 2 and 3, the orange set with the green set. So just to rehash, this region here, you see that there's two color options, green and orange. We're using a green because we're going with A. In this region here, you have two color options, green and orange. Because we're going A, we're using orange. Over in this region here, only one option, that's the blue set. In this region here, only one option, and that's the brown set. So that's how we're going to terminate. Now to start this, what I like to do is I like to line up the cable so that the jacket of the cable is as close to the base of the connector as possible. In ideal situation, you're going to see the jacket ends up right over at this point where it just meets the connector. Now for me, what I like to do is I like to terminate the ones closest to the end first so that I can see the color codes of the further part of the connector, or sorry, the jack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to terminate the oranges first. So that means I'm just going to peel everything else away that is in the way. And just going to focus on the oranges. And I'm just going to rotate this. And like I said, try not to untwist too much of this. You're just going to overlap this into that region. And we're going to punch down with the cut side to the outside of the connector, and you're going to see that these wires will just wiggle right off. And what happens when I punch it down, okay, the cut side cuts the wires. When I'm physically punching the wire into position, it cuts into a blade that's embedded in the into the jack, and when it cuts into that blade, that's what physically makes or electrically makes the connection. Okay, now I'm going to do the blue set. And same deal, I'm just going to place the conductors into the port, and then I'm going to punch it down. And I'm trying not to, I see a lot of people that what they do is they punch 3 or 4 or 5 times. They just punch. And what ends up happening is you break the wire on the inside of the connector, so you want to avoid doing that. I'm going to take the brown set, and put the wires in there. Yeah, come on. And then the very last one is the green set. And then when you're all done, we're going to put our cover on. And then you can see how the jacket is right at the base of the connector. That's exactly what I was looking for. And then you can tie wrap. They come with the tie wraps. I know some people don't use them, but they do come with it. So just don't over tighten it, otherwise you're going to do damage to the cable. And then again, if you can twist the tie wraps off, that's always the best thing to do so that you take away any cuts. So that's one of the ports already connected. So I'll just tuck that out of the way. Okay, the next one I was going to do with this cable here, same deal with the prep. Take 2 inches off. And I'm going to take this piece of paper away because we don't need that. So I'm doing the Belden style. Now there's some advantages with the Belden style. First of all, you can see the color codes a lot easier than you can with the other style. The disadvantage is it's tricky to use. If you've never worked with the Belden style, this type, it's an interesting one. You gotta feed the cable into the back side of the connector. Your wires would pop through and then overlap the underside. And once they've overlapped into their position, then you take the cover and you snap it into the connector. The design is sometimes challenging. Okay, so if you take a look at this, we're using the A style. Okay, so with the A style, brown is always going to be in the same spot. So you're going to have this side here is going to be your brown white, and this side here is going to be your brown. Okay, so with A style, everything on the top is A. With the blue, this is going to be the blue white that comes up into this side, and then this right over here is going to be the orange. This is going to be the orange white. This is going to be the blue. And then your green, you're going to see the green white and the green. So you have to plan this accordingly when you're terminating this. I like to start off with the middle ones. If you take a look at the middle ones, you got blue and blue white, orange and orange white. So we're going to select the orange set and the blue set. And before I put them into the connector, I'm just going to chop off this piece of string so that it gets out of the way here. So I'll take the brown and the green out of the mix, and I'm going to take the blues and the oranges, and I'm just going to untwist this, because with this particular connector it's easier if you untwist it before you put them into the middle. And you're allowed to untwist up to 13 millimeters per connector, and will be under 13 millimeters when the process is done. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to fish them through, just the orange and the blue set. I'm going to fish it through, and then if you take a look at the color pattern, we needed the white blue popping up. It's tricky to do. We need the white blue popping up in this region. We need the white orange popping up in this region. So I got those, and then I need the blue to pop up over here and the orange to pop up over here. So I got those ones done. Really tricky. Okay, now for the browns, so maybe I'll do the green first because the way it works out. So your green is going to go onto the side. I'm just going to have to fish this green through here. Didn't plan that. Oh, there we are. Okay, so the green comes into this side. You can untwist it, and you're going to see the light green and the dark green. And then the browns, same idea. You're going to untwist it, and you're going to see your white brown on this side, and then the dark brown. And then you can take a look at this. You don't want to see any crisscrossing at all anywhere. If you do, it's not going to work out for you. Okay, and once it's good to go. Like I said, you don't need a punch down tool for this one. You are going to take the connector and you're going to insert it one end into the front edge of the connector, and then you're going to squeeze it so that the wires physically go into the IDC. And I like to use my linesman pliers just to give it the final squeeze on the back end. Now, because we didn't use a punch down tool at all, you're going to have to physically trim all of the wires. So that's why I like to have my little side cutters here. And then you're just going to trim the wires. Pull that out. There we are. And it's terminated, and that's that. So that's the Belden style, and then the first one we did was Keystone Jack style. So those are two styles that are common in our industry.